2 years ago, my daughter kicked me out of the house, giving me only $10 of the road and telling me never to come back. After years of silence and lies, she suddenly called and asked to live in my new $900,000 home. But I knew it wasn't about family. It was about money. I decided to teach her a lesson once and for all. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening in the comments. The phone's shrill ring cut through the evening silence like a blade. I set down my crystal tumbler and stared at the glowing screen. Tatum. After 2 years of nothing, she was calling. Rain drummed against the floor-to-ceiling windows of my Bellevue home office. City lights blurred into watercolor streaks across Lake Washington. I'd been reviewing my property portfolios when the interruption came. The mahogany desk reflected the soft glow of my banker's lamp. Paper spread like battle plans across its polished surface. I let it ring twice more before answering. "Hello, Tatum." "Daddy." Her voice carried that same manipulative sweetness I remembered, dripping with artificial warmth. "I've missed you so much. I wanted to invite you to family dinner this Saturday." My fingers found the edge of an old family photo tucked between investment documents. 3 smiling faces from another lifetime. I flipped it face down. Family dinner. How thoughtful. We could catch up, maybe start fresh. Her voice cracked slightly, the practiced innocence wavering. "I know it's been complicated." Complicated. I leaned back in my leather chair, feet settling on the desk. 2 years ago, you threw me out with $10. Quite the memory gap you have there. Silence stretched between us, broken only by the rain's steady percussion. I could hear her breathing change, shallow and quick. "I don't understand what you're talking about, Daddy. I just thought—" "Of course you don't know." The lie was so transparent, it was almost insulting. Everyone in our old circle knew about my success. Property records were public. My transformation from broken exile to millionaire hadn't exactly been subtle. "Tell me, what's the real reason for this sudden family reunion?" Her voice became smaller, more desperate. "Can a daughter just want to see her father?" I picked up my tumbler, swirling the amber liquid. The weight of real crystal, the burn of aged whiskey, luxuries that would have been fantasies 2 years ago. "Saturday evening, I assume? At the old house." "Yes, 6 o'clock. Mom's making that roast you used to love." "Your mother—" I paused, letting the words hang. "Still playing house with Grady, I presume?" "They're married now," she said quietly. "Congratulations to the happy couple." My voice remained level, controlled, professional. "I'll be there." "Really?" The relief in her voice was pathetic. "Oh, Daddy, that's wonderful. We can—" I said I'll be there. This should be educational for all of us. I ended the call without waiting for her response. The satisfying click of disconnection echoed in the sudden quiet. The city lights blurred through the rain-streaked glass as memories I buried began clawing their way back to the surface. I rose from my chair, joints protesting slightly. The whiskey burned as I drained the glass, then walked through my house like a man surveying conquered territory. Each room showcased transformation, from the Italian marble foyer to the gourmet kitchen with its professional-grade appliances. But Tatum's call had cracked something open. Memory fragments spilled through like water through a broken dam. The living room triggered it first. Soft leather sectional, cashmere throws, view of manicured gardens. So different from that summer afternoon in 2023, when I had walked into our cramped Tacoma house and found my life dismantled. Suitcases by the front door. Lorne on the couch next to a man I'd never seen before. Tall, graying at the temples, wearing my spot like he owned it. "Grady's moving in," she'd announced without looking up from her phone. "You need to leave." No preamble, no explanation. 28 years of marriage ended with the casual tone she'd used to dismiss a telemarketer. I moved through my current kitchen, fingers trailing across granite countertops. The contrast was stark, then versus now. That day, dirty dishes had filled our old sink. Today, my kitchen was pristine, magazine-worthy. Tatum had emerged from her bedroom, overnight bag slung over her shoulder like she was heading to college. But her eyes held something I'd never seen before, cold calculation. "You're a failure, Dad," she'd said, voice steady as a judge pronouncing sentence. "Mom's right. You don't belong here anymore." The $10 bill she'd pressed into my palm was still crisp, probably fresh from an ATM. "For gas," she'd explained, as if the gesture was generosity rather than insult. The memory followed me upstairs to my master bedroom. Silk curtains, king-size bed with Egyptian cotton sheets, reading chair positioned perfectly to catch morning light from the lake. Everything chosen deliberately, expensively. The Motel 6 room had smelled of industrial disinfectant and broken dreams. Thin walls, thinner mattress. The constant hum of highway traffic just beyond cracked parking lot asphalt. I'd paid the weekly rate up front. Cheaper that way, the desk clerk had explained. Counted my crumpled bills twice. Instant noodles for dinner, instant coffee for breakfast. The kind of existence I thought was permanently behind me after decades of steady work, careful saving, building what I believed was an unshakable foundation. On my nightstand sat a silver-framed photograph, the last family portrait before everything crumbled. Tatum at 26, still playing the devoted daughter role. Lorna with her perfect smile, already planning my disposal. And me, oblivious as a lamb approaching slaughter. Those first weeks had been the hardest. Construction cleanup jobs, restaurant dishwashing, anything that paid cash and didn't require references. My hands had grown rough again, shoulders aching from labor I hadn't done since my 20s. But somewhere in that industrial-scented room, between the shame and the anger, something else had taken root. Determination, the kind that grows best in darkness. I touched the photograph's cool surface. The family in the silver frame smiled back at me, strangers from another life. Tomorrow would remind them exactly how far I'd traveled from that broken man with $10. Morning light streamed through my bedroom windows, turning Lake Washington into molten gold. 6:30 a.m. and I was already awake. Old habits from construction days, though now I woke to Italian espresso instead of instant coffee desperation. The kitchen welcomed me with a soft hum of expensive appliances. I ground fresh beans, the rich aroma filling the space like incense in a cathedral of my own making. While the machine worked its magic, I unfolded the Wall Street Journal and reviewed overnight market movements. Strange how routine could mask revolution. 2 years ago, I'd been scanning classified ads for day labor. Now I was calculating dividend yields on a 7-figure portfolio. August 2023. $15,000 in the divorce settlement, my share of what Lorna had deemed worthless assets. The condemned house in Beacon Hill had looked like urban decay made manifest. Broken windows, sagging porch, foundation issues that scared off every other buyer. But I'd seen potential where others saw problems. My office files held the proof of that first gamble. The purchase contract, framed now like a diploma, showed the sale price, $42,000. For months of 16-hour renovation days, learning plumbing and electrical work through YouTube videos and library books. December closing, $65,000. $17,000 in profit, my first real victory. The portfolio folder held the rest of the story. Property after property, each purchase more ambitious than the last. Winter 2023 became spring 2024, became summer success. Every profit reinvested, every lesson learned and applied. The turning point had come in October. A foreclosure in Queen and owner defaulted on renovation loans, bank desperate to unload. I'd walked through the half-finished shell and seen what others missed. Premium location, solid bones, work already started, $200,000 purchase price, 6 months of careful restoration, $420,000 sale price. That profit had changed everything. I sipped my espresso, Rich and complex. Nothing like the bitter gas station coffee that had sustained me through those early months. The bank statement in my desk drawer showed the current total. $10.4 million net worth that would make Lorna choke on her morning smoothie. My phone showed missed calls from yesterday evening. Real estate agents with new opportunities. Contractors bidding on projects. Investors wanting partnerships. The kind of problems successful people faced. Every nail I'd driven, every tile I'd laid, every sleepless night spent planning the next move, all of it had led here. To this kitchen, this view, this moment of quiet triumph before the storm. Saturday's dinner invitation wasn't random. Tatum was drowning, probably Lorna too, and they needed a life preserver. The $10 gift giver was ready to discuss terms. 48 hours passed before the second call came. I'd spent Thursday morning reviewing acquisition contracts, fresh coffee steaming beside financial projections that would have seemed impossible 3 years ago. My phone buzzed. Lorna's name appeared on the screen, like a ghost from another lifetime. I removed my reading glasses deliberately, set them beside the contract I'd been reviewing, let it ring 3 times before answering. "Hello, Lorna." "Harlan." Her voice carried that same syrupy sweetness she perfected during our marriage. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." "You never worried about that before." I leaned back in my leather chair, pen poised over a notepad. "What do you need?" "It's about Tatum." The rehearsed tremor in her voice was almost artistic. She's facing an unexpected financial crisis, and I thought, well, as her father. Background noise filtered through the connection. Papers rustling, whispered urgency I couldn't quite make out. "What kind of crisis?" I kept my voice neutral, professional. The same tone I'd use with a contractor trying to inflate estimates. "Poor business decisions. The creditors are threatening legal action." Her breathing quickened slightly. "I wouldn't ask if it was an emergency. She could lose everything." "Tell him about the legal troubles," came clearly through the phone, Tatum's voice sharp with anxiety. Lorna's pause lasted exactly 3 seconds. "I mean, the situation is quite serious." "How serious?" I wrote performance on my notepad, circled it twice. Just $50,000 would solve the immediate crisis. The number tumbled out too quickly, too practiced. "I know it's a lot, but..." "Ask for more, Mom." Tatum's coaching carried perfectly through whatever cheap speakerphone they were using. The silence that followed could have cut glass. "I see." I set down my pen, amazed at how transparent desperation made people. "And what makes you think I have that kind of money lying around?" "Well, I heard..." Lorna's voice cracked like thin ice. "People talk, about your success. People talk about many things." I swiveled my chair toward the window, watching rain streak down glass that probably cost more than their monthly rent. Not all of it accurate. "Harlan, please. She's your daughter." My daughter threw me out with $10 and called me a failure. The words came out calm, measured, factual. Now she needs $50,000 from a failure. That was different. She was upset. She was honest. I picked up my coffee cup, savored the rich warmth. Brutally, refreshingly honest. "But you're her father. Family means..." "Not 1 cent. The finality in my voice surprised even me. "Ever? You can't be serious." I ended the call mid-sentence and set the phone aside. Friday morning brought crisp sunlight through my office windows, transforming Lake Washington into hammered silver. I'd spent the previous evening planning my approach, and now sat with fresh coffee, phone recording app ready, prepared to confirm what I already suspected. The call to Tatum would settle everything. I practiced my defeated tone twice, then dialed her number. She answered on the second ring, voice bright with expectation. "Dad, I was hoping you'd call." "Tatum, sweetheart." I injected just enough tremor to sound authentic. "I have terrible news about my investments." "What kind of news?" Her eagerness dimmed noticeably. The market took a terrible turn yesterday. I've lost almost everything. The lie came easier than expected. Property values collapsed. Leverage positions called in. It's a disaster. Silence stretched between us like a chasm opening. How much is everything? She asked carefully. I'm meeting with bankruptcy lawyers next week. I paused for effect, staring at my actual bank statement showing 8 figures. The foreclosure notices start arriving Monday. Foreclosure notices? Her voice had gone flat, calculating. But you said you were doing well. I thought I was. Turns out I was over-leveraged, too confident. I allowed genuine sadness to creep in. Not for lost money, but for what I was about to discover. I'm so sorry this affects our Saturday plans. The pause that followed lasted exactly 12 seconds. I counted. What does this mean exactly? Tatum's tone had shifted completely. No sympathy, no comfort. Pure arithmetic. How much is left? Maybe enough for a small apartment if I'm lucky. I closed my eyes, bracing for impact. I know this changes everything for you. What? Seriously. The mask slipped entirely now. Then don't come to dinner Saturday. No hesitation. No, we'll figure out together. Or money doesn't matter. Just cold dismissal, swift as a blade between ribs. I understand completely. My voice stayed steady through sheer force of will. This changes everything for you. I mean, what's the point if you can't? She caught herself, but too late. I'm sorry, Dad, but this is really complicated timing. Thank you for being so direct about your feelings. It's not about feelings, it's about... Goodbye, Tatum. I ended the call and sat motionless for a full minute, staring at the phone. 28 years of fatherhood, reduced to a transaction. When the money disappeared, so did the daughter. The recording had captured everything. Her voice, her priorities, her complete lack of concern for my supposed devastation. Perfect evidence of what I'd already known but needed confirmed. The weekend disappeared into research and planning. By Monday morning, I'd compiled enough surface information to know I needed professional help. Tatum's failed business venture showed dozens of customer complaints across multiple platforms. Lorna's Instagram medical fundraising looked increasingly suspicious under scrutiny. Marcus Reed's downtown office occupied the 15th floor of a glass tower overlooking Elliott Bay. Former FBI, according to credentials, now specializing in financial fraud investigations. Exactly what I needed. Mr. Voss. Reed was younger than expected, mid-40s with sharp eyes and a firm handshake. You mentioned needing background verification on 2 individuals. I settled into the client chair, noting the diplomas and commendations covering his walls. Professional competence radiated from every surface. My daughter and ex-wife have approached me for significant financial assistance. I kept my tone businesslike, factual. I need complete background checks before making any decisions. Standard due diligence. Reed opened a fresh file folder. What specific areas concern you? Any legal vulnerabilities, fraudulent activities, or misrepresented circumstances? I slid across the basic information sheets I'd prepared. Discretion is essential. They cannot know about this investigation. Reed reviewed the documents efficiently. 1 week for comprehensive reports. My fee is $5,000, expenses included. Acceptable. I wrote the check immediately. How detailed will your findings be? Everything legally obtainable. Public records, court filings, business registrations, customer complaints, social media analysis. He tucked the check into the folder. If there's deception involved, I'll find it. Wednesday brought the preliminary report. Reed's voice carried no judgment, just facts delivered with professional precision. Your daughter operated an online store called Lux Living Essentials from January through October 2024. He slid documentation across his desk. She collected approximately $150,000 from customers and delivered virtually nothing. The evidence was damning. Screenshots of fake product listings, customer complaint compilations, Payment records showing money collected but no fulfillment. Tatum had run a systematic fraud operation. Multiple customers are considering legal action, Reed continued, but they lack organization. No formal charges filed yet. What about my ex-wife? More interesting. Reed opened a second folder. She's raised significant money through Instagram medical fundraising, claiming various illnesses. Medical records show no serious health issues whatsoever. Friday's final meeting completed the picture. Reed's comprehensive dossier revealed the full scope of their deceptions: tax implications for unreported income, potential criminal charges for fraud, a web of lies that went deeper than I'd imagined. Your ex-wife's unreported donation income could trigger federal tax investigations, Reed explained. Your daughter faces potential felony charges if customers organize properly. I studied the thick folders, amazed how thoroughly they constructed their house of cards. Both women living on borrowed time, borrowed money, borrowed credibility. Excellent work. I stood to leave, folders tucked securely under my arm. Send your final invoice to my business address. Back in my office, I spread the evidence across my mahogany desk like battle plans. Customer contact information, documentation of fraud, proof of tax evasion, everything necessary to orchestrate their complete downfall. Time to start making some very interesting phone calls. Thursday evening brought the satisfying weight of complete information. Marcus Reed's files cover my mahogany desk like battle plans: customer complaint lists, medical records, fraud documentation. 2 years of systematic deception laid bare in black and white. Time for the performance of a lifetime. Tatum answered on the first ring, voice tight with barely contained anxiety. Dad. Tatum, sweetheart. I injected just enough excitement to sound authentic. You won't believe what happened. That emergency deal I mentioned came through. Wait, what emergency deal? I thought you lost everything. Market volatility, you know. One day you're down, the next you're up. I flipped through her fraud files while speaking, studying photographs of products that never existed. I not only recovered everything, but made an additional $3 million in the process. The silence that followed lasted exactly 8 seconds. I could practically hear the gears shifting in her head. Oh my goodness. Her voice transformed completely. Desperation replaced by calculated sweetness. That's incredible. I'm so happy for you. I suppose that Saturday dinner invitation is back on the table? About Saturday? She paused, gathering her courage. I was hoping we could still have that family dinner. I've missed you so much, and I think it would be wonderful for us to reconnect as a family. The same voice that had coldly dismissed me 24 hours earlier now dripped with artificial warmth. Textbook manipulation, exactly as predicted. Of course, sweetheart. Family comes first. I turned to Lorna's medical records, noting the complete absence of any serious illness. Though I have to ask, how are you doing financially? You seemed concerned about something earlier. Well, she drew out the word, preparing her pitch. I hate to even mention this, but I've been having some business difficulties. Nothing serious, just cash flow problems. What kind of problems? Customer complaints, mostly. Some people are claiming they never received their orders, but I'm sure it's just shipping delays. The lie came so naturally, I almost admired the skill. If you could spare just $200,000, it would solve everything. Give me time to sort out these misunderstandings. $200,000? Quite specific for someone with mere cash flow problems. That's a considerable amount, I said thoughtfully. Let me think about how best to help my daughter. Really? You'd consider it. The relief in her voice was palpable. Dad, you have no idea how much this means to me. We'll discuss it properly on Saturday. I'll need to move some funds around, but family is family. Thank you. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you. I ended the call and leaned back in my chair, studying the evidence spread before me. $150,000 stolen from customers. Dozens of people she cheated, ignored, dismissed as unimportant. Yet she'd asked me for $200,000 without hesitation. The daughter I'd raised had become a stranger capable of systematic fraud. Friday morning found me in Merritt Klein's downtown office. Complete evidence files spread across his conference table like pieces of a complex puzzle. Rain streaked the Windows 40 floors above Elliott Bay, creating the perfect backdrop for planning legal warfare. This is solid evidence, Harlan. Merritt reviewed the fraud documentation with professional detachment. She's clearly committed intentional fraud, not mere business incompetence. I'd known Merritt for 15 years. Poker nights, holiday parties, the kind of friendship that survives divorce and career changes. He understood both my legal needs and emotional investment in this case. How quickly can we move once the papers are served? The timing you're requesting is aggressive, but entirely legal. He organized customer complaints into chronological order. Process server can be there at 7:30 tomorrow evening. That gives you time to arrive first. Perfect. I wanted to understand that actions have consequences. Are you certain about this approach? Once we start, there's no going back. Merritt's concern was genuine, professional. Your daughter will face serious financial and possibly criminal consequences. She chose this path when she decided to steal from innocent people. The afternoon dissolved into systematic phone calls. Marcus Reed's contact list provided names, numbers, and loss amounts for 23 defrauded customers. Each conversation followed the same pattern. Initial skepticism, growing excitement, eager participation in collective legal action. Ren Soto, a 34-year-old teacher from Tacoma, emerged as a natural spokesperson for the group. Her voice carried the controlled anger of someone who'd been professionally polite for too long. "We've been trying to find her for months," she explained during our third conversation. $5,000 for a dining room set that never existed. I saved for 8 months for that furniture. "You won't be alone anymore," I assured her. Professional legal representation. Shared costs, maximum impact. "You're serious about helping us? What's your connection to Tatum Voss?" "I'm a concerned citizen with access to her current location and substantial evidence of systematic fraud." By evening, Merritt's team had worked overtime preparing comprehensive lawsuit documentation. The conference room buzzed with focused energy, paralegals organizing evidence, associates researching precedents, everyone understanding the importance of perfect legal execution. "Process server confirmed for tomorrow evening," Merritt announced, reviewing the final timeline. "Private residence, multiple witnesses present. This will be memorable." Saturday afternoon demanded precision timing. The legal assault on Tatum was locked and loaded, but Lorna required a different approach. Medical fraud deserved public exposure. Tax evasion warranted federal investigation. I arranged to meet Jessica Chun at a neutral downtown coffee shop. The Seattle Tribune's investigative reporter specialized in social media fraud. Perfect credentials for dismantling Instagram influencer scams. I have documented evidence of systematic fraud by a major Seattle area Instagram influencer. I began, sliding the manila envelope across the small table. Jessica's professional skepticism was immediate. Anonymous sources require exceptional verification. What kind of fraud? She's collected over $200,000 in donations for a fake medical condition. I watched her expression shift from doubt to sharp interest. The medical records prove she's never had the illness she's been claiming. She opened the envelope carefully, scanning Marcus Reed's documentation with practiced efficiency. Medical records, Instagram analytics, income estimates, everything needed for a devastating expose. These are serious allegations requiring substantial fact-checking. Her voice carried the controlled excitement of a journalist sensing major story potential. Instagram influencer fraud is becoming epidemic, but this level of medical deception is particularly egregious. This isn't revenge journalism. I assured her. This is public service, protecting future victims from sophisticated medical manipulation. If this checks out, we can publish online within hours. The tax implications alone will trigger federal investigation. While Jessica began her verification process, I contacted the IRS tip line. David Park, a Seattle office tax fraud investigator, specialized in social media income tax evasion cases. I'm reporting systematic tax evasion by an individual with substantial unreported social media income, I explained, providing Lorna's details and evidence summary. What's your relationship to the subject? How did you obtain this information? I'm a concerned citizen with access to publicly available information and legitimate financial records obtained through legal investigation. We'll need documented evidence of income sources and tax filing discrepancies. Can you provide specific dollar amounts and time periods? Complete documentation is being transmitted to your office today. Estimated unreported income exceeds $200,000 over 18 months. The coordination was flawless. Jessica would publish her expose online at 8 o'clock. Precisely during our family dinner, the IRS investigation will begin Monday morning with formal audit proceedings. The 45-minute drive to Tacoma gave me time to savor the approaching moment. March evening traffic flowed smoothly, as if the universe itself was coordinating my arrival. I pulled into the familiar driveway at exactly 7 o'clock, punctuality being crucial for what came next. The house looked smaller than I remembered. Warm light spilled from the dining room windows, creating an illusion of domestic tranquility that would soon shatter like cheap glass. I carried an elegant gift box, empty but perfectly wrapped for psychological effect. Every detail mattered in the performance I was about to deliver. Harlan, Lorna opened the door with theatrical enthusiasm, jewelry glinting from recent donation purchases. You look wonderful. Success really suits you. It's good to be back in this house, I replied, stepping into the foyer where I'd once been handed $10 and my walking papers. Brings back so many memories. The dining room table was set for 4, candles flickering over Lorna's best china. Tatum emerged from the kitchen, nervously smoothing her dress. Clearly chosen to project success she didn't possess. Dad. Her embrace felt calculated, practiced. I'm so glad you could make it despite everything that happened recently. Water under the bridge. Sweetheart. I placed the gift box prominently on the side table. I brought a special surprise for everyone, but good things come to those who wait. Grady nodded from his position near the television, uncomfortable in formal attire, but trying to play supportive husband. His discomfort was palpable. The man clearly sensed undercurrents he couldn't identify. Dinner conversation flowed with forced pleasantries. Lorna played gracious hostess, while Tatum built confidence for her financial pitch. I checked my watch discreetly. 7:25. 5 minutes until the first surprise arrived. We were thinking, Tatum began right on schedule, since you've been so successful with investments, maybe we could discuss a family partnership. Family is everything, Lorna added, reaching across to squeeze my hand. We should always be there for each other. Absolutely. I agreed, watching the second hand sweep towards 7:30. Success suits you too, Tatum. You look like someone who's really figured things out. The irony was delicious. Here she sat, discussing investment opportunities while hiding from defrauded customers, planning to request money from the father she discarded like garbage. It's not really a loan, Tatum continued, warming to her rehearsed pitch. More like a partnership between father and daughter. $200,000 would solve some immediate cash flow issues and position us for amazing returns. $200,000? I repeated thoughtfully. That's quite specific. The doorbell rang at precisely 7:30. Tatum froze mid-sentence, confusion flickering across her features. Were we expecting someone? How unexpected, I said, barely containing my satisfaction. What remarkable timing. She rose reluctantly, clearly annoyed by the interruption to her carefully planned presentation. Through the dining room doorway, I watched her open the front door to a professional-looking man in a business suit. Tatum Voss, I have legal documents for you from the King County Superior Court. The color drained from her face instantly. What? There must be some mistake. You're being served with class action lawsuit regarding fraudulent business practices and customer deception. Please sign here acknowledging receipt. This is ridiculous. Lorna called from the dining room. We're having a family dinner here. But I could see Tatum's hands shaking as she fumbled with the legal papers. Reality crashing through her carefully constructed facade like a wrecking ball through tissue paper. Ma'am, this is regarding the Lux Living Essentials online store and multiple counts of intentional fraud. The process server's professional calm contrasted sharply with the chaos now erupting in what had been a peaceful family gathering. Tatum stumbled back toward the dining room, papers rustling in her trembling fingers. Lorna was already reaching for her phone, confident she could solve anything with the right connections. She had no idea her own reckoning was loading on her screen. With your resources, Harlan, we can hire the best lawyers in Seattle. Lorna's voice carried the confident authority of someone accustomed to manipulating her way out of problems. This is just a misunderstanding that money can solve. I remained seated, watching the scene unfold with the satisfaction of a conductor directing a symphony. I know an attorney through Instagram who specializes in these situations, Lorna continued, already scrolling through her phone contacts. A few strategic calls will clear everything up. How many customers are listed here? Tatum's voice cracked as she scanned the lawsuit details. $150,000? I don't have that kind of money. We stick together as family, Lorna declared, still confident in her ability to orchestrate solutions. That's what families do. She opened Instagram to contact her legal connections, but her expression shifted immediately from confidence to confusion. The screen was flooded with notifications, thousands of angry comments, and messages appearing faster than she could process them. What? Why are there thousands of comments calling me a fraud? Her voice grew smaller with each word as she scrolled through the digital avalanche. Someone posted an article. Local influencers' fake illness exposed. I checked my watch. 8:05. Jessica Chen's article had published exactly on schedule. They have my medical records. Lorna's panic was building as she read her phone screen. How is that possible? These people are saying I stole money from cancer patients. Grady moved closer, reading over her shoulder. Lorna, what illness? What are these people talking about? It's lies. All lies. But her voice lacked conviction as she frantically tried to delete comments that appeared faster than she could remove them. Harlan, you have to help us. Use your money to make this go away. Make it go away? I finally spoke, my voice calm as a lake surface. Justice doesn't disappear because you're uncomfortable with it. Tatum looked up from her legal papers, finally grasping the coordination. Dad, did you know about this? I find it fascinating how quickly family loyalty appears when legal consequences arrive. I stood slowly, straightening my jacket. The timing is remarkable, isn't it? First your legal troubles, now this article about your mother's medical fraud. Medical fraud? Grady's voice carried genuine shock as pieces fell into place. Lorna, you've been lying about being sick? Her Instagram account was imploding in real time. Screenshots of Seattle Tribune articles spread across multiple platforms, amplifying the scandal exponentially. This is coordinated, Lorna whispered, the full scope of her destruction becoming clear. Someone planned this. I already gave you both my surprise, I said, moving toward the door as chaos reached its crescendo. It's called accountability. You can't just leave us like this. Tatum's desperation was complete now. Both women realizing their last hope for salvation was walking away. We're family. I paused at the threshold, savoring the moment I'd waited 2 years to deliver. 2 years ago, you threw me out with $10 and called me worthless. My voice carried the weight of every humiliation, every sleepless night in that industrial motel, every moment of grinding poverty they'd dismissed. Tonight you learned what that was really worth. The door closed behind me with the finality of justice served cold and complete. For months later, I stood on a Hawaiian beach, watching the sun dissolve into the Pacific Ocean. The warm sand beneath my feet felt like the opposite of everything that industrial motel had represented. Poverty, humiliation, desperation replaced by choice, abundance, and peace. Merritt had called that morning with the final legal updates. His voice carried satisfaction when he delivered the court's decision. Tatum received the maximum civil judgment, he'd reported. $153,000 in restitution plus court costs. The judge was particularly harsh about the systematic nature of her fraud. And the criminal charges? Felony fraud conviction, 3 years probation, community service, and permanent criminal record. Any future employer will see those charges. The legal machinery had ground forward with inexorable precision. 23 victims received full compensation, while Tatum faced a decade of minimum wage jobs and garnished paychecks. Justice delivered through proper channels, exactly as I planned. Lorna's destruction had been equally thorough, but more public. Jessica Chen's article triggered an avalanche of investigative journalism. Every donation, every fake medical claim, every tax discrepancy exposed for public consumption. Her Instagram account was permanently banned. Her influencer career obliterated overnight. The IRS audit revealed $200,000 in unreported income. Penalties and back taxes consumed every asset she'd accumulated through deception. She now worked commercial cleaning jobs while living in a studio apartment. Her glamorous lifestyle replaced by harsh economic reality. Grady had filed for divorce in May, protecting his business assets while distancing himself from his wife's criminal behavior. Even passive enablers face consequences when fraud reached sufficient scale. My phone buzzed with a real estate alert. Another property opportunity in downtown Seattle. Another chance to build legitimate wealth through actual skill rather than manipulation. I'd expanded my portfolio systematically. Each success built on honest evaluation and hard work. "You seem so peaceful here," said Rebecca, the attorney I met during my Yellowstone trip last month. She was intelligent, successful, honest, everything my previous family relationships had lacked. Like you've let go of something heavy. I learned that some people earn their place in your life. I replied, watching waves erase footprints in the sand. Others simply occupy space until you realize their true value. 3 years ago, I'd measured my worth by their approval. Now I understood that real value came from character, integrity, and the courage to demand justice when betrayed. The $10 they'd handed me wasn't an insult. It was their accurate assessment of what they thought family loyalty was worth. But they had miscalculated everything else. The vacation rental behind us represented choice rather than necessity. The investment portfolio generated passive income that would compound for decades. The relationships I'd built were based on mutual respect rather than manipulation or need. Sometimes I wondered if Tatum had learned anything from her consequences. Court-ordered community service at a homeless shelter might teach her what real hardship looked like. Perhaps watching actual struggling families would provide perspective on the customers she defrauded. Lorna would probably never change. Narcissists rarely develop insight from consequences, but at least her ability to harm others was permanently diminished. Public exposure had destroyed her platform and credibility. The sun disappeared into the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Tomorrow I'd fly home to Seattle, where new opportunities waited alongside the satisfaction of justice achieved through patience and proper channels. 2 years ago, they left me with $10 and called me worthless. Today, I understood my true value had nothing to do with their opinions and everything to do with my character. The waves rolled endlessly toward shore, each one washing away the past while revealing new possibilities underneath. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. To listen to our next story, click the link that appears on your screen. Thank you for watching.